Hello students, welcome back to class again, and we're still on Unit 7 on page 40, and we're on lesson number 2, conversation. And so in this lesson we're going to practice using past tense and regular and irregular verbs, and so that's where we're going to be going with our grammar focus, but we always like to practice them in a conversation. And so what do you see in the picture? There are two pictures. So what do you see in the top picture? Try to explain it to me. When I teach at the university, I teach by showing pictures a lot of the time, and I ask the students to describe what they see. And so I ask them to look at the picture, and then I ask them to write down what you see and use the proper words and use the proper grammar. And so you could do that too if you want to. And so what do you see in the picture? The top picture, okay, I see two women having a picnic. That's how we say. We say, I see two women having a picnic, or we can say, I see two women on a picnic. Having a picnic or on a picnic. And they have a lot of food. I see two sodas. I see a hot dog. I see a bag of chips. I see a basket. And one lady is giving some food to the other lady. I also see that they're outside. We can say, I see grass, a field, and some trees. So say this after me. Let's practice describing this picture. I see two women having a picnic. They're outside, sitting on the grass. Behind them is a field and some trees. I see lots of food. I see two sodas, a hot dog, a bag of chips, and a basket. One girl is giving some food to the other girl. So that's what we see. What do you see in the bottom picture? We see a car, and we see a man repairing his car. Now this man's name is Chris, and we can say Chris is a mechanic. That's the word we use for chiang motor or ka chiang lan. A mechanic. So Chris is a mechanic. I see a man repairing his car. He looks dirty. He has a rag in one hand and a wrench in the other hand. You see that? In his left hand there is a kronat. And that kronat we call a rag, R-A-G. A rag is what we use to clean something or to wash something. It's not a consign. A consign is a towel. A towel we use to dry ourselves off after we take a bath. But a rag we use to wash something or to clean something. And in his right hand is a wrench. We say sao, and so sao we say a wrench. There's different kinds of wrenches, but we'll just say a wrench. So in the bottom picture, I see a man working on a car. He's a mechanic. He's dirty. He has a rag in his left hand and a wrench in his right hand. Okay, so let's look at the conversation. Chris. So, what did you do last week, Kate? Oh, Diane and I went for a drive in the country on Saturday. That sounds nice. Where did you go? We drove to the lake and had a picnic. We had a great time. How about you? Did you do anything special? Not really. I just worked on my car all day. That old thing? Why don't you just buy a new one? But then what would I do every weekend? And so Chris is a guy who likes to work on his car. And so Kate says, you're always working on your car. Your car is always broken. Why don't you sell it and buy a new one? But Chris says, if I sold it, then I would be bored. I would be bored. I wouldn't have anything to do because I like working on my car. That's what this conversation is about. Okay, so let's just look at it again. Are there any words or any expressions? Went for a drive. I went for a drive. And so they drove, past tense. They drove their car. Went is past tense because they're talking about last Saturday. We say went for a drive. Or if you're on your motorcycle, you can say went for a ride. Or I can say, this morning I went for a bicycle ride. Or I went for a ride to Phnom Krom, like I do every day. So, went for a drive, went for a ride in the country. Sounds, not sound, but sounds. You need the S in it. Sounds nice. That sounds nice. Where did you go? Notice with the question, the voice goes up. Where did you go? We drove, past tense, we drove to the lake. The lake. So when we use the, we use it for something specific and also something that both people know about. So both Chris and Kate, they must know about a lake that is nearby. And so she didn't say a lake, she said the lake that you and I know about because it's near our town. So we drove, past tense, to the lake and had a picnic, past tense. Yesterday we had a picnic. I'm going to have another picnic tomorrow. Had is past tense. We had a great time. We had fun. How about you? Did you do anything special? That means, did you do anything that is manmen twamana? Did you do something different, or did you just do the same thing that you do all the time? Did you do something special yesterday? Something kopi twamana? Not really. I just worked on my car all day. I only worked on my car all day. Or he can say, I worked on my car all day. But he said, I just worked on my car all day. That's the only thing that I did. And then Kate talks about his car. She said, that old thing? What old thing? The car. So he must have an old car. And she calls it an old thing. She calls the car an old thing. Why don't you just buy a new one? But then what would I do every weekend? So that means every weekend he works on his car, and it seems like he likes it. It seems like it's fun for him. All right, so ni tam lo kru, all right? Moi pi bai. So, what did you do this weekend, Kate? Oh, Diane and I went for a drive in the countryside on Saturday. Diane and I went for a drive in the countryside on Saturday. That sounds nice. Where did you go? We drove to the lake and had a picnic. We had a great time. How about you? Did you do anything special? Not really. I just worked on my car all day. That old thing, why don't you just buy a new one? But then what would I do every weekend? Okay, let's do this one more time. Pay attention to my pronunciation. So, what did you do this weekend, Kate? Weekend. Weekend. You need the D, weekend. Oh, Diane and I went for a drive. Diane and I went, I need to either hear the T, went for a drive in the country on Saturday. That sounds nice. Sounds nice. So there's 3 S sounds. S, sounds, and nice. The C has an S sound. Make sure you're saying it correctly. That sounds nice. That, men, that sound nice. Men, that sound nice. That sounds nice. Where did you go? We drove to the lake. You need to hear the K sound, lake. We drove to the lake and had a picnic. Had, you need to hear the D sound, had. Men had, but I had a picnic. Pick, It's the short I sound makes the I sound. It comes from your throat. The sound comes from the bottom of your throat. Picnic. Picnic. You need to hear the K sound of the C. Picnic. We had a great time. How about you? Did you do anything special? Special, sh makes the SH sound. The CIA makes a sh, SH sound, special. Not really. I just worked on my car all day. I just worked. The D has the T sound, worked. I just worked on my car all day. That old thing, why don't you just buy a new one? Don't. Don't. It's the long O sound. Don't. Why don't you just buy a new one? But then, what would I do every weekend? Okay, that's the conversation lesson for this lesson. And so let's take a break, and I will see you in the next lesson, or you will see me in the next lesson.